We're here, we're checking it out. SCP-3008. This is the Infinite Ikea SCP that everybody was telling me to check out. This was one of the few SCPs that I kind of saw in a lot of comments, and it is kind of interesting. Like the Infinite Ikea, like it sounds like it could be a really good thing, like a really good story, or it could be a really boring and dull story. But I feel like if you guys recommended it, since I was seeing it so many times, it's probably really good. So I'm going to go with it's probably a really good story. But thank you guys for the recommendations. I have a full list of SCPs that I will be checking out in the next couple of weeks. I truly appreciate it. If you like these SCP videos, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's jump into it. SCP-3008. Here we are, guys. SCP-3008, the Infinite Ikea Euclid Extra Dimensional SCP. Now, from what I remember yesterday, Euclid means that the SCP's behavior is classified as unpredictable. So we don't know what this SCP is capable of. We don't know what the heck's going to happen here. Now, an Infinite Ikea sounds like it might be like, I don't know, maybe like a ton of Ikeas spawning everywhere, or maybe one is just like a huge maze that never ends. I have no idea. This video is created by the Vulcan, just like yesterday's video. So shouts out to the Vulcan. Please, please check the description, hit the like button on their videos, and also subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. They deserve it. Now, let's jump into it.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-3008. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. The retail park containing SCP-3008 has been purchased by the Foundation and converted into site. All public roads leading to or passing by site have been redirected.
That's a little scary.
The entrance to SCP-3008 is to be monitored at all times, and no one is to enter SCP-3008 outside of testing, as permitted by the senior researcher.
Oh my God, this is like an Area 51 type site. Like nobody can drive in here, nobody can drive out. Like this is protected by the SCP Foundation completely.
Humans exiting SCP-3008 are to be detained and then debriefed prior to the administration of amnestics.
Oh.
Dependent upon the situation of their stay in SCP-3008, a cover story may need to be generated prior to their release.
Wait, what? So the IKEA itself is SCP-3008? Because that's what it sounds like.
Any other entities exiting SCP-3008 are to be terminated.
Oh.
Description: SCP-3008 is a large retail unit previously owned by and branded as Ikea,
right,
a popular furniture retail chain.
Now, I haven't really been to Ikea that many times, only a couple of times, but that place is massive. So it is kind of like a maze. You can definitely get lost in there.
A person entering SCP-3008 through the main entrance and then passing out of sight of the doors will find themselves translocated into SCP-3008-1.
What?
This displacement will typically go unnoticed, as no change will occur from the perspective of the victim. They will generally not become aware until they try to return to the entrance.
Oh, so you're sucked in. You're in a whole nother dimension once you get to this point.
SCP-3008-1 is a space resembling the inside of an Ikea furniture store, extending far beyond the limits of what could physically be contained within the dimensions of the retail unit.
Oh.
Current measurements indicate an area of at least 10 kilometers squared, with no visible external terminators detected in any direction.
Now, this is scary because I remember as a kid, I got lost in a Babies R Us, and I just remember freaking out, and I couldn't find my parents. And my parents ended up being outside of the store eventually. And I remember just like screaming at one point. I remember just running through the Babies R Us and just going past all these clothes and stuff. And it just felt like it was never ending, man. I just remember that being one of the most frightening experiences of my life. So I couldn't imagine going into this place.
Inconclusive results from the use of laser rangefinders has led to the speculation that the space may be infinite.
Wow.
SCP-3008-1 is inhabited by an unknown number of civilians trapped within prior to containment.
Wait, is inhabited by an unknown number of civilians trapped within prior to a containment? So before they contained this place, there were other people who came in here and got lost. So there's people that are probably still in this maze.
Gathered data suggests that they have formed a rudimentary civilization within SCP-3008-1.
Wow.
The construction of settlements and fortifications for the purpose of defending against SCP-3008-2.
Wait, what? So there's a 3008 too? And they're defending themselves against it?
SCP-3008-2 are humanoid entities that exist within SCP-3008-1. While superficially resembling humans, they possess exaggerated and inconsistent bodily proportions.
They're like yellow Slendermen. That's scary, man. Dude, there was a game called Condemned Origins, and there was a level in that game where I think you were in a department store or a clothing store of some type, and I just remember there being mannequins, and like you would walk through the level and sometimes you'd have to backtrack and stuff, and mannequins would be disappeared, like they were moved in like weird places and stuff, and like next thing you know it, you'd get jumped by a mannequin creature and stuff like that. That's what this reminds me of, and I hated that so much. That was such a scary game. I hated that game.
Often described as being too short or too tall. They possess no facial features, and in all observed cases wear a yellow shirt and blue trousers consistent with the Ikea employee uniform. SCP-3008-1 has a rudimentary day-night cycle, determined by the overhead lighting within the space activating and deactivating at times consistent with the opening and closing times of the original retail store.
That's cool.
During the night instances of SCP-3008-2 will become violent towards all other life forms within SCP-3008-1.
So that reminds me of like every zombie movie or video game known to man, where at night the zombies are more aggressive and during the day they're not as aggressive.
During these bouts of violence, they have been heard to vocalize phrases in English that are typically variations of "the store is now closed, please exit the building." Once day begins, SCP-3008-2 instances immediately become passive and begin moving throughout SCP-3008-1 seemingly at random.
What?
They are unresponsive to questioning or other verbal cues in this state, though will react violently if attacked.
Oh.
SCP-3008-1 is known to have one or more exits located within, though these exits do not appear to have a fixed position, making it difficult to leave SCP-3008-1 once inside. Using any other door besides the main entrance to enter the structure or breaking through the walls of the retail unit leads into the non-anomalous interior of the original store. Since containment began, 14 individuals have managed to exit SCP-3008. Following extensive debriefing, all individuals have been administered amnestics and released.
Well, that's good. At least they don't kill those people or anything like that. Like, they can go back to their normal lives, and hopefully they don't remember anything that happened to them.
Incident 3008-1. At 0:37 hours on 2000, a human male exited SCP-3008, followed 10 seconds later by an instance of SCP-3008-2. SCP-3008-2 caught and killed the man before itself being terminated by an armed response personnel.
Wow.
This incident represents the only time an instance of SCP-3008-2 has been seen exiting SCP-3008. A full autopsy on the corpse was performed. See 3008-2 autopsy log for more details. The man was carrying an Ikea-branded journal seeming to document his time in SCP-3008-1. Transcribed below verbatim.
I mean, maybe the 3008-2 thought that this guy was stealing it, the journal or whatever, because it does say Ikea on it. Maybe it thought he was shoplifting or something, and it was like, hey, you can't run off with that journal. Like, that's our journal. You're stealing from our store. And he was upset. So he chased the guy all the way outside of the store. I mean, that kind of makes sense, right? Like, hey, maybe that guy shouldn't have brought the journal along. Maybe he would have survived if he wouldn't have had that journal in his hands when he left.
So, I'm writing this to document what I can only assume is my sudden descent into insanity. I can't possibly be that bad a navigator. And yet, as I write this, I've been trapped in Ikea for 2 days.
Jeez.
I haven't seen another person in the entire time I've been here. thought it was a prank at first. Turn the place into a maze, get all the people out, and see how long it takes me to get lost. Then everyone has a good old laugh. Realized that wasn't the case when I tried to backtrack. Everything had changed, so I ended up lost. Instead of the exit, it was just row after row of bookcases.
See, this is what y'all get, man. See, I'm a former retail employee, and I hate it when people try to stay in the store after closing. I used to hate that stuff, especially when people come into the store at, let's say your store closes at like 1 a.m. When people come in at 12:56 a.m. and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go get a cart and I'm going to start just shopping like I normally do during the day. And it's like, no, you aren't, ma'am. Did you not hear? We just said that we're going to close in like 5 minutes. So we have to like literally follow that person around the store and tell them, hey, we're about to close soon. Hey, we're about to close soon, as we're trying to do our closing duties. And here you are just going, oh, I want that. I want that. No, if you're going to come at the store that late, then what you need to be doing is knowing what the heck you need to grab that thing and run to the register. I'm sorry, but you can't stay after we close and there's no special treatment. I used to hate that stuff. And I can see why these monsters get mad, bro. Cause at night you need to get out our store. Hey, you know what? I can relate to them. I'm actually on the monsters team.
So I'm trapped in an Ikea. Sounds like the setup for a bad joke. The lights went out at 10 p.m., nearly giving me a fucking heart attack. That loud electrical thunk sound, and then pitch blackness. Place is full of beds though, and my phone has a torch on it. But no damn signal. So I found a bed and went to sleep. I spent most of the day trying to find my way out with no luck. Did find a restaurant serving those meatballs though, so at least I
what?
Starve.
I don't think I've ever had those Swedish meatballs or whatever they sell at Ikea. I have had the cinnamon rolls though. As soon as you roll up in the Ikea, those cinnamon rolls smack your nostrils, let me tell you, and they are delicious. Now, I can't leave Ikea without getting those cinnamon rolls. I have to get those.
Probably the punchline to that joke. Anyway, they were still warm and fresh, but I haven't seen anyone around who could have cooked them. Made my way back to the beds before the lights cut out again, since it's too dark to search with them off. It's 9:10 a.m. now. The lights came back on a little while ago. I'm sure I've searched the entire area where I came in now, and the exit obviously isn't here, so I'm gonna pick a direction and hope for the best. Day 3 of my magical Ikea mystery adventure. If I wasn't sure that there was something seriously weird about this place before, I am now. Walked for 3 hours in a more or less straight line. Insert Ikea joke here. Before I came across a ladder.
I see what you did there.
One of those huge stock shelves they have here. Climbed up to get my bearings, and it looks like this place just stretches on forever. Like that scene from The Lion King, except instead of trees and grass, it was all shelves and tables and crap. I did see a person moving not too far away though, so I headed over. Thought it was a staff member at first. It was wearing a uniform. Hell, maybe it was. Maybe freakish 7-foot-tall monsters with long arms, short legs, and no faces are just the kinds of thing that they want working at a super Ikea. Damn thing completely ignored me, though. And with no eyes or ears, I can't even be sure it knew I was there. Thought about shoving it or something to get its attention.
What? Are you dumb? Is this guy stupid? Okay, so you see a 7-foot monster with no face, literally has no facial features, and hands that are probably bigger than your face, and you're thinking about shoving it? First of all, I wouldn't want to touch it at all, let alone shove it. Why would I want to piss a monster like that off? Like, no, I'm going to stay as far away from that thing as possible.
Its hands were big enough to crush.
This guy's built different.
So I decided against it.
Right.
Just kept moving.
Right, as you should.
Sight of it, so I decided to carry on the way I was going. Anyway, no comfy bed for me tonight. Looks like I've entered the improbably hard and pointy table section of the store. Guess I'll have to make do with some bunched up tablecloths. Phone battery died during the day too. Didn't work anyway, but I feel like I've just lost some vital lifeline. You ever see one of those cartoons where they're going through doors in a hallway and they just pop out of another door in the same hallway?
Scooby-Doo.
That's how I feel right now. I've seen nothing but the same identical bookshelf for 2 days now. Just row after row after row of them. I mean, come on. I love books just as much as the next guy, but this is excessive. I'm obviously still moving forwards, though. I can see the signs hanging overhead passing by. Too bad none of them say exit. Not sure who I was addressing that question to. Let's just say it was practice for the autobiography I'm gonna write when I get out of here. I'll call it My Perfectly Normal Trip to a Regular Old Ikea.
You think the government's gonna let you leave this place and remember everything and tell the story? No, bro.
If I ever get out of here. Finally found some other people. Yeah, turns out I'm not the only poor bastard trapped in here. Lucky for me, I guess. My 6th night here, 2 of those staff things came at me in the dark. Different from the first one I saw, but still messed up. Heard them coming. They were saying that the store was closed and I had to leave the building, all nice and polite like. I'm not sure which...
Hey, you're lucky that these are IKEA workers, because if this was like Walmart or Kmart or something like that, them employees wouldn't be very nice. They wouldn't be saying it politely. They'd be pretty darn aggressive.
Which part of that was weirder? That they didn't have mouths, or that they were apparently trying to kill me while they were saying it? Came at me like rabid dogs. So I legged it.
Yeah. Why is that so relatable though? I can just remember like chasing people around the store like, ma'am, the store's closed, ma'am, the store's closed, ma'am, the store's closed, ma'am. Imagine.
Through Ikea in the dark like a fucking madman. I saw it when I cleared another stand in front of those giant stock shelves, all lit up with torches and floodlights. They've built a whole town here. Got a massive wall built out of shelves and beds and tables and whatever else.
That is so zombie-like.
Beautiful thing I'd ever seen.
That's crazy.
Anyway,
it's like a zombie movie.
Coming, or they heard my manly bellows of fear because they had a gate open and 2 people were there waving me in. Heard the staff thing slam into the gate behind me after it closed, still politely informing us that the store was now closed. They wandered off eventually, though. They call the town Exchange, because that's what's on the sign hanging from the ceiling directly above it. Exchange and returns. All lit up against the night, using lights they found and plugged into the power lines.
What?
And there are beds, and food, and people. Over 50 wonderful people, with regular-sized limbs and a full set of facial features. It's now my 7th night here, and the first one not spent in darkness. A full week living in Ikea. There's probably a TV show in that somewhere.
Or a YouTube video.
Now that I'm around other people, I'm starting to feel more normal. Maybe normal isn't the word, but after a week with only the sound of my own footsteps for company, I was becoming increasingly sure that I'd just gone nuts. That I was tied up in some padded room somewhere, banging my head against the wall. But no, I feel quite sane now, thank you very much. Apparently there are other towns out there. Some with more people, some with less. I found that fairly mind-boggling. How can that many people go missing with no one noticing?
Good question.
Someone would have noticed that everyone who goes to Ikea seems to f***ing vanish. Or maybe it's not everyone. Maybe we're just the lucky ones.
Maybe you guys were chosen.
The people here just call those staff monster things the staff. Apparently they're fine during the day, minding their own business, walking the aisles. As soon as the lights go out, they go f***ing bonkers. So, during the day, people go out to find food, water, and whatever else they need. Apparently there are restaurants and shops around that get randomly restocked. No one knows how. Maybe the staff do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's them.
At their jobs though, because the restocking sometimes takes a while, which means the food needs to be rationed.
You know why? Because IKEA ain't paying their employees like they should be. We want that $20 an hour.
Maybe if they weren't so busy chasing people around in the dark, they'd get more done.
No, maybe if IKEA paid them more money, they would be inspired to work harder.
Anyway, when night comes, the The staff go nuts and everyone holds up inside the walls. Apparently it's the same everywhere in this place. Wherever this place is. Your Ikea. From whence all other Ikeas sprang. Or maybe we're all still just in the regular Ikea and this is all some fever dream brought on by a mind-numbing boredom. Who knows? Been here for 10 days now. Most of the people I asked said they stopped keeping track a long time ago. And one guy, Chris, said he'd been here for years.
Jeez.
Years. Apparently there are rumors of people who do manage to get out, and people who see the exit only to have it vanish before their very eyes. I get the feeling not everyone believes that, but I do. Explains how he got stuck in here in the first place. Sort of. And I mean, come on. Staff monsters, row after row of high-quality Swedish furniture. I don't know why they would find a disappearing door so hard to believe in.
Yeah?
Anyway, I went out scavenging for food in a nearby shop with Sandra and Jerry today. Once you learn the landmarks of this place, it's not so hard to navigate. The overhead signs help a lot, but there are others. Not too far in the distance, a huge section of those giant stock shelves is collapsed against each other, and way off in the east, we all assume it's east anyway. Apparently Ikea doesn't sell compasses. It's some kind of tower that looks like it's made of wood. Reaches all the way up to the ceiling. Maybe they were trying to break out through the roof. It lights up at night, so there must be people there. But apparently, it's a few days' walk, which means it must be miles away.
Oh.
So no one here really knows for sure. Apparently, I got incredibly lucky sleeping out in the open for a week without getting ripped to bits by the staff. That's me. Lucky, lucky, lucky. We found some food in...
I just thought about that. Like, how did he survive if they're like rabid animal creatures at night? Like, wouldn't they find him sleeping on the tables and kill him?
Shop. Guess the staff restocked it during the night, which was nice of them. There was a telephone on the wall, so I figured I'd try it out. There was a voice on the other end, but they were just talking nonsense.
What?
Random words strung together with no real meaning. You ever see a video of someone with aphasia? Kind of sounded like that. Didn't answer me when I spoke to them anyway. Sandra says all the phones in here are the same. Oops. Asking the journal questions again.
This is interesting.
The ceiling on this place is pretty high, and as far as anyone can tell, it goes on forever. Shouldn't there be some kind of weather in here? I'm sure I read about some NASA building that was so big it had its own weather patterns, with clouds and stuff.
What?
This place is definitely bigger than that, but now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure I've never felt so much as a temperature change in here. I'll add it to the grand list of weird bullshit.
Is that true, or is he just talking? Is he just yapping, y'all?
The staff attacked the exchange last night. Must have been 20 or 30 of them all just asking us to leave the store, calm as you like, while trying to smash the walls down with their bare hands. Apparently this happens pretty regularly, so everyone is prepared for it. Knives from the restaurants, lawnmower blades made into hatchets, a fire axe. One guy, Wasim, even made a functional crossbow. Anyway, the walls have holes in them, which I hadn't noticed before. Specifically so we can stab out at the staff when they attack. Took a couple of them
That's
down
smart.
myself. They don't seem to bleed, which is weird. But they go down as easy as a regular person once you start sticking holes in them. We had to haul the bodies away in the morning. Apparently the dead ones will attract more during the night, so we had to get them away from exchange. We have a couple of those trolley things they use to move big boxes around, so we loaded...
I just thought about it. So is it an infinite amount of staff members? Because that kind of buys into the whole idea of like how replaceable people who work minimum wage jobs are, especially retail jobs. They like say that you're pretty replaceable. Like they can get anyone to just fill your spot. So if you die or if you get fired or etc., they can just replace your spot as quick as possible, right?
Them up and took them over to pickup. Apparently people just name everything in here after whatever sign is hanging overhead. Pickup was grisly. There were hundreds, maybe thousands of dead staff all piled up.
Jeez.
There was no smell, which was a blessing. Apparently, in addition to not bleeding, these things don't rot either. My curiosity got the better of me while we were unloading them, so I took a look at one of the more cut-up ones. They're just skin.
Ew.
Something that looks like skin, all the way through. No muscle, no bone, no organs.
Oh.
Are they even really alive?
I don't
in the
know.
first place? They certainly seem like they have bones when they're moving around,
Ew.
pounding on the walls. And I'm sure I felt more resistance than just skin when the knife went in during the night. Maybe something happens to them when they die. Just one more thing on the ever-increasing list of weird shit that goes on in here, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something occurred to me. After the staff attack the other night, every time you see a situation like this on TV or in a film, like it's the end of the world or everyone is trapped on an island or whatever, once groups like ours start to form, people always seem to turn on each other, fighting for food or dominance or whatever else. That hasn't happened here. Apparently people from other towns come by from time to time, just to check in or occasionally trade if they're short on something. But
that's
everything's
nice.
Always cordial. Friendly, even. Maybe it's the threat of the staff, or perhaps the constant restocking of supplies in the shops means there's nothing much to fight over.
Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's the latter, because in a zombie apocalypse, you guys are fighting because there's a limited amount of resources, right? So eventually you're going to run out. But here, if there is restocking going on, everybody has enough to share. So what's the point of trying to hoard resources or etc.? It's like, well, we have a lot, so we'll be all right.
Maybe people are just better than they're generally given credit for. That's a nice thought.
Maybe.
I think I'll go with that one. A dozen people showed up at the gates this afternoon from a town called Trolleys. Apparently the staff broke through the walls and tore the town apart during the night. These 12 are the only survivors out of over 100. We let them in, obviously. One more point in the human decency column. Later, I asked if anyone knew how many of these towns were out there. Between us and the new folks, we managed to come up with over 20 names. 20 towns filled with people, and who knows how many beyond that. The motto for this place should be, how is that even possible? Surely someone, somewhere, must be looking for the thousands of people that must be in here. I've been here for a little over 2 months now.
That's a while.
Not that much changes, as it turns out. A couple of new people showed up. Same story as the rest of us. Nice little trip to Ikea, and suddenly they're trapped in Billy Bookcase's house of faceless weirdos.
Wait, so was this before they contained this area or this Ikea, or was this after? Because I'm kind of curious to know how people keep making it to this Ikea and getting lost in it.
The staff attack the exchange once or twice a week. We kill them and haul off their bodies. Sometimes they hurt some of us first. They killed a guy called Jared a couple of weeks back. It was awful, frankly. Turns out, regular humans still bleed in here, even if the staff don't. We tried our best, but none of us are doctors. Jared was a good guy. He deserved better. We all do.
I don't think they have medical equipment in
Occurred to me
Ikea.
that a couple of days after that, none of us were really looking for a way out of here. I don't even know where we'd start. One of those quadcopter things with a camera attached buzzed past exchange today. I thought it meant that someone was finally looking for us, that help was on the way. Apparently it's not the first time this happened, though. Same thing happened a few months ago, and everyone is still here. No idea if it saw us. It didn't stop if it did, just kept flying until we could no longer see it.
Who's controlling that?
Note: based on recovery time of the journal, this entry appears to line up approximately with our first successful test piloting a drone inside SCP-3008-1. Analysis of footage shows a walled settlement under a sign labeled Exchange and Returns. Attempts to relocate the settlement failed. Origin of previously sighted drones is unknown.
What? Okay, so that answered my earlier question.
Talking to people about the stuff they miss from home during dinner today. Probably not the best idea I've ever had.
Everyone seemed pretty down after. A bunch of people here have families. Husbands and wives, kids, dogs. Franklin apparently has a pet llama, though I'm not sure I buy that.
What?
But apparently some of the people here have some seriously odd gaps in their knowledge. 3 of them had never heard of the International Space Station.
What?
2 of them seemed to think it was the Prime Minister, and 1 of them had apparently never heard of the Statue of Liberty. I believed them, too. They seemed just as confused as the rest of us.
This is
The more
freaky.
I thought about it, though, the more it started to explain a few things. What if the reason no one is looking for all us missing people is because we haven't all come from the same place? This is gonna sound weird. Maybe that should be the motto for this place. But what if all the people here have come here from different dimensions?
Oh!
Realities, whatever you call it. I've seen enough TV shows to know the drill. Sarah comes from a place where there's no Statue of Liberty. They didn't launch a space station where Wasim is from. If everyone here came from different places, even from ones that seem identical, there'd be no huge missing persons panic.
Bro, this is insane. Oh my God. This is so cool. This is awesome. Like, at first, it sounded like a really dumb idea, the infinite Ikea. Like, this didn't seem like it would be anything interesting. But now, after seeing this and like hearing the dimensions thing, the dimensions thing blows my mind. This is like a huge twist.
No mass.
Because I wasn't thinking about that.
We'd just be a blip, a single missing person in a world of non-stop news.
Holy crap.
Well, that was a fun train of thought.
You might be onto something, though.
Just realized that yesterday was the 6-month anniversary of my arrival here. I wonder if
This guy's smart.
Hats. The routine around here has remained more or less the same. More new folks show up, one every couple weeks or so. Food supplies go up and down, but we've never actually had a major shortage. Occasionally we get a visitor from one of the nearby towns, usually checkouts or aisle 630. We check in with each other from time to time, occasionally trade supplies if someone gets particularly low on something.
Sounds boring.
In a way, a reminder that we aren't alone here. Some small glimmer of civilization. Sometimes they bring medical supplies.
Oh,
Apparently there's a pharmacy a few towns down from checkouts that gets restocked every now and then, so
they have medical supplies in Ikea? I had no idea.
they share out what they can. I've never heard of an Ikea with a pharmacy before.
Me either.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if someone stumbled on an Ikea organ harvesting lab. Would certainly explain the staff.
Yeah.
Speaking of our faceless jailers, their attacks have been getting worse lately. 3 or 4 times a week now, with twice as many staff as there used to be. No idea where they all come from, or why the attacks have increased. We tried following one of them during the day a few weeks ago, me and Sarah. Wanted to see if they led back to a staff room or something. Didn't seem to go anywhere though. Just randomly walked through the aisles. We had to turn back before we found anything.
Well, that sucks.
We've been reinforcing the walls, trying to arm ourselves better. Certainly no lack of materials to use. Wasim has been making more crossbows, but it's pretty slow going. Too bad Ikea doesn't sell guns.
That's true. Imagine if they were like in a Walmart or what else sells guns? I don't know, Bass Pro or something like that. You have an infinite amount of guns, bro. Like you just be lighting people up for real. But I would wonder if the workers would be shooting people too. You know what I mean? Like that could work against you, I guess.
Never thought I'd say that.
Note: no new personnel have entered SCP-3008 at site in the time span indicated in this entry.
Ah.
The attacks are getting bad now. Almost every night, and with so many staff that the bodies almost pile high enough for others to climb the walls. I think we're in real trouble here.
That's horrible.
Exchange is... I think exchange is done. We got hit.
It got overrun?
last night.
Ah.
Not many casualties, but the wall is wrecked. We finally figured out why the attacks have been escalating too. A box of supplies had a chunk of one of the staff in there. No idea how it happened, but apparently a piece of one will draw them as well as a full body.
No way.
Too late now, in any case. There's too many bodies for us to haul away and still have time to fix the wall before midnight. Candace has called a meeting. I suspect there will be talk of abandoning exchange. Maybe try and get shelter at the checkouts or something. It's already getting late, though. I don't think we'll have time to make it. Maybe some of us will. I was fine for that first week out in the dark after all. But then, how often can I keep getting lucky?
It was just you alone.
I'm only writing this for a sense of closure, I guess. For me, or for anyone who finds this. If this is the final entry here, I hope whoever is reading this is doing so from outside of this place. My biggest fear. If I do die tonight, I'll just wake up here again in the morning.
What if you're an employee?
This is the last entry.
When you wake up,
It is assumed that while he was attempting to reach the checkouts settlement, he was separated from the rest of his group by pursuing SCP-3008-2 instance and happened upon the exit.
dang, he was there, guys. Imagine. Oof.
I've been to Ikea a few times, and that guy's recollection, not that different from mine. Just saying.
Oof. That's all you can say about this? Sir, there's a lot more than just oof. But just imagine you running, and this is like your last day there, right? And you've been here for 3 months and you're booking it, right? And this freaking workers and chasing you and stuff like that, you know, yo, leave the store. We're closing right now. We're closed. And then you find the freaking exit and you're booking it. And next thing you know, you die. I'd be so pissed, bro. I'd be so pissed.
Also, why do I keep on getting assigned interdimensional SCPs? I don't know. Anyway, I think that about does it for today. Thank you very much for listening, if indeed you still are, and you are all dismissed. Go away. I'm just kidding. Goodbye.
Yo, whoever that is narrating, you are the most heartless piece of crap I've ever met in my life.
Special thank you.
That oof, it hurt me.
Gaming, Zach Geller.
You know, please help them out, y'all. Please go to their Patreon and stuff. They are amazing. Like Volgan, that narration in this one, and then the narration in the last video, fire. Like, these videos are so well put together. I didn't think that he was gonna narrate that well, but he narrated beautifully. Enjoyed this video a ton. Now, I'm gonna have to say, this was a really cool story. I wasn't expecting to get so invested in it. I was invested, man. And it was relatable because I'm a former retail employee. I used to work at Target. I worked in the electronics section of Target for like the longest amount of time. I almost became a team lead at one point, actually 2 different points, but never really did because I quit both times. Wasn't a big fan of working at Target for the most part. I mean, maybe like the first 2 years working there, I enjoyed it, but yeah, this was a relatable one. Like, I could just imagine being one of these workers. This is how people saw me when I worked at Target, man. I was politely telling them, you need to get out the freaking store. We are closed, ma'am. But, you know, I wasn't killing people and such, and it wasn't a maze. I actually knew how to, you know, get out of there and such. I'd like to thank you guys for recommending this story in particular. This one was recommended by a lot of you guys. It was one of the few that I saw like consistently through a lot of comments. So I wanted to check this one out. Plus it had a pretty interesting concept. I was like, infinite Ikea, what the heck could that be? So I didn't know you could write a story about an Ikea in this universe, and they did really well with this. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll check out some more SCPs. I have a lot more on the list that you guys told me to check out, so we will continue with this. I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.
Hope will never die.
Stop playing with